Hey everybody, Chris here. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I sold my house and I bought crypto. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when new videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. And the story goes back over 10 years ago when I got to this point where I got into a lot of debt. And how did that happen? Well, I work as an architect. As an architect, it's a great profession. I enjoy designing buildings and watching them get built and sort of leave my mark on the world. But the architecture profession doesn't really pay a lot. I mean, I'm fortunate to be able to have the opportunity to go to college. I did have college debt coming out of college with loans, but it was my path for my profession. And as I worked forward in architecture, eventually got married and had a couple kids. And with that, didn't really have an opportunity to save much money. Kids are expensive, as you know. They were also special needs kids, so took a lot of extra care there as well. And one thing led to another, and the stress of the family eventually led to a divorce, unfortunately. And with that, that was a tough time. Had to work out the arrangements with the kids, ended up with a joint agreement for custody, but with that, had big lawyer bills, of course, all of that. I also wanted to keep the house, keep some consistency in their lives, and with that, I needed to take out a second mortgage on the house that we bought in order to give her half of the equity. So I was paying this big mortgage bill after that. And also to pay my attorney, I had to take on a lot of credit card debt. That was a tough time. I was in debt, big debt. So how do I get out of that? Well, I had my kids half the time, the other half was free, and I started grinding. That's right, I started a second business, a side hustle, doing these digital products, making a little money there. And then eventually that led to just thinking about other financial ways to get things right. I was making my minimum payments on my credit card. I was dutifully paying my mortgage, and also eventually got my car loan paid off. That helped a little bit. And then someone asked me to help them with a website because they knew that I had played around with websites before, and I got into that, which led me to some domain name investing and getting into some domain names. And with that was kind of my first clue about cryptocurrency, because a lot of the domain name business was all being done in crypto. But this is about 2018, so it was after the big 2017 rise in Bitcoin. And the prices were going down on the cryptocurrencies. This is the first time I really looked at it, because earlier with Bitcoin, I was totally in the world of my family and just had no clue about it. So this is one of those stories where somebody buys Bitcoin 10 years ago and becomes rich today. No, my story happened in a much shorter time frame here. But needless to say, I was at least introduced to cryptocurrency and took a look at it, and I was like, nah, no thank you. Fast forward to 2020, we had the COVID thing happened, we had stimulus checks, and with that extra money, plus I was sort of making headways in my other debt, eventually got the credit card paid off, and so got out of that debt. And I started doing some stock investing, some little swing trading of stock, and started building up a little nest egg for investing, which led me to starting a YouTube channel at the end of 2020. And then into early 2021, I was in the middle of this swing trade and knew what was happening with GameStop and AMC and the suppression of being able to buy, especially on Robinhood, and couldn't buy. But that's where I had my money. That's where I was doing my trading. And then on a Reddit thread, there was this thing about, well, if we can't squeeze out the shorts anymore on GameStop or AMC, let's look at something else where there's big shorts. And they've said Dogecoin. Dogecoin has huge shorts on it right now. We're gonna buy a bunch of Dogecoin. Well, I was there at that time and I was like, okay, so I bought into Dogecoin at 2 cents. Yeah, so that was my first cryptocurrency purchase. Was this going in on Dogecoin at 2 cents? Dogecoin price went up fast. This was at the end of January, beginning of February of 2021. And I made a video about it, got a great response on that. And so that sort of kicked off my cryptocurrency path. Well, we were all thinking Dogecoin was going to go to $1. That didn't happen so fast. 2 cents to 8 cents is still a 4x on Doge. Good return there, but I didn't sell any. We were talking about it, and the price went down a little. Things got a little slow through March, but then in April 2021, there was another huge rise in Dogecoin and all this excitement around Elon Musk and Doge and all of that. I was still, mostly that investment in Doge was starting to look at other cryptocurrencies, bought a little Bitcoin, a little Ethereum, some other things. But then we had the big crash after the Saturday Night Live thing with Doge, which was really more huge short sellers on Doge as well. We've talked about that. And then the price just never really recovered on Doge. My investment I still had, never sold any of that Doge. And 2022 happened, which was bear market. And so then I'm starting to really learn more as I continued on my path about bull markets and bear markets. And I'll show you the chart I was looking at the time when I finally realized I had to do something. So let's go ahead, let's take a look at that. And this is the chart of Bitcoin looking back to 2021 all the way to the present. And right now, as I'm recording this, Bitcoin is at a price of $109,000. It just hit an all-time high this week of $112,000. That's where we are at the present time. And Dogecoin is here at about 23 cents right now, after running up to about 48 cents just after Trump was elected president, and Elon Musk and the beginning of the Department of Government Efficiency called Doge, and there's a lot of excitement about that. So these are charts that I follow and use on my live streams primarily, but also on daily videos I make about cryptocurrencies. I concentrate a lot about Dogecoin. This is on tradingview.com where I follow these charts. And if you're interested more about the charts, do subscribe and do join in on the live streams as well. Ask questions. Very educational on this channel as well about what's going on with kind of do the daily prices and news and what's going on the live streams. We expand the conversation and I take questions and we have that interaction. So do join in here. But here we are back in 2021 with that first big run of Dogecoin that happened there. And that's where I bought in. And this was the huge May run up to 73 cents right there, this big red line. And that was the top there. But then there was this big decline in the price. And on Bitcoin, what happened there? Well, it was China banning mining and for Bitcoin primarily, and like confiscating mining rigs and all that. Tesla stopped accepting payments in Bitcoin for cars. And then we had, of course, the big shorting of Doge. And there was an impact in overall crypto markets based on what Doge was doing. So we had that big dip, the second run up there, up to 69K for Bitcoin. That was the end of that bull market before the bears took over. What happened then? Well, there was a lot going on, certainly, in terms of sort of over leveraging of cryptocurrency trades, which led to a lot of this. And then there was the Terra and Luna sort of collapse, which then had cascading effects for Celsius and Voyager and a lot of people getting wrecked. I was never in those. I was primarily in Bitcoin and Dogecoin, mostly Doge at that time. And then we got in through the summer of 2022, and then we had the FTX collapse. But right before that, though, I made a video, and that video at that time was called the Crypto and Bitcoin 4-year cycles, and then followed that up with this on a live stream. So this is like September, October 2022, and really looking at the cycles and sort of these 4-year cycles, sort of broken into these 3 chunks there, where there's a bull run. This was the 2017 bull run. And then there was the 2018 into 2019 bear market. And then there was sort of that reset time. And that reset time has a series of ups and downs. So what I was looking at was the 2021 run, and this is on Bitcoin, the 2021 run, and there we were in 2022. And at that time, this was like maybe September 2022, and I was looking at this chart, comparing it to what happened the previous run and even the previous run before that. And this might have been the time, because there I am, and this might have been that time I realized I needed to do something. I needed to get more deployed in crypto, because I had a feeling this kind of run, what we had in 2017, what we had late 2020 into 2021, that was going to happen again. I knew there was going to be some time, because I thought there would be a reset, but at the bottom of the bear market, which I thought that we were moving into, that was going to be the time. I talked to my family about this, and at that time, I made the decision, was going to sell the house. My boys were in high school. One was graduating high school, going into college. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to sell the house. We're going to rent. And I'm going to take all the equity that I have left. I mean, the banks, I had a lot too. So I also had these other thoughts in my mind too about wanting to come out at the other end of this, buying a house with cash so that I wouldn't owe a bank anything, right? I wanted to debank myself. That's still a goal of mine, completely debanking myself, right? I had the credit cards paid off, right? No other debt now except for the mortgage. I wanted to get rid of that mortgage, whatever it was going to take. And I made a full bet on crypto. So this was the time when I made that decision. And so I put things in order to make that happen. What I didn't know what was going to happen next was the FTX collapse. And when that bankruptcy happened, we had that other big red candle down. And Bitcoin went down to like $15,600 there. That's when I pulled the trigger, sold the house, and right at that orange circle there, that's where I started buying. I got the equity out of the house and started buying crypto. And I went all in, like all of it. And this was about $650,000. Now, I live in Boston. Boston's an expensive real estate market. And some of you may say, how did you have $650,000 of equity? And it was just like, it's expensive. Real estate here in Boston is expensive, but that's what I had. And so we started renting, and I bought, and I went in on crypto there. Most of the crypto I bought was there. Bitcoin just started going up. That whole reset year, this blue here, for Bitcoin was up, for Doge was up and down, and we'll take a look at that. But that's where that decision was made. And by the time we got through the summer of 2023, that's when I started realizing, look, in summer of 2023, I was like, with that dip there was in Bitcoin, most of other cryptos like Doge were even a little bit lower than where they were at the end of 2022. And so I was then, like, everything I got, like every nickel and dime was going into crypto. Not only that, but I started another portfolio, which I showed during live streams, the Chris Peck's DCA portfolio, where I took $10,000 and just started buying whatever you guys wanted during live streams. And we made a portfolio. It's about half Doge and half a bunch of other cryptos we bought during the live streams, whatever that was. And here's a view of one of those, right? Doge was about 6 cents at the time. And so live on stream, we were buying crypto. Because I was just showing, it's like, and telling everyone, look, guys, we're going to make money here. And I'll just show you how easy it is So I was making all these videos and doing these live streams telling you all along the way what I was doing. The other thing I made was another one, which was building wealth with crypto and Dogecoin. And I made a video about that, building wealth. So I had this series, off and on, we were talking about building wealth and what that would look like with crypto. So what happened? So what happened then? Well, we went into this reset year. Crypto had a run early 2024, big run and a pullback. And that's what Dogecoin does. And you know, if you invest in Dogecoin, there's going to be big ups and downs. That's what happens. And then in the summer of 2024, when Doge went back down to like 9 cents, I said, guys, this is a gift here. This is a gift, buying this Dogecoin at this price. Well, Bitcoin at that time was up here at 59, 60,000. It had already beaten its previous all-time high before the Bitcoin halving, which was this blue vertical line here, because of the ETFs, the Bitcoin spot ETFs that were passed by the SEC, led to this big run up here. So we were following all that. The 4-year cycles, again, are based on not only Bitcoin halving, but presidential elections and all that. And we still had that to come, the presidential election. So I also made a video then in September 2024 showing my $1 million crypto portfolio. And this is a piece of that. And I showed you what all I bought and where I was in this journey of what at that time was over $1 million, about $1.5 million at that time. And that was right before that 2024 presidential election, mostly in Doge. I also, because of MIT's involvement with Algorand and all that, was like, I went kind of heavy on Algorand. Algorand was not doing as well, obviously, but Doge was one of my best performers. Bitcoin doing very well, but Jasmy and Aave and even some into Fetch AI, those were my biggest gainers percentage-wise. I had a couple losers. Optimism was down. And at that time, I had bought Pepe, got into a little late on the Pepe game and all these cryptos. This was my portfolio. So I was open about what I was doing. I didn't tell anyone at that time I'd sold my house. Some people kind of guessed it during live streams, but I wasn't really open about it because that's a huge risk to take. I mean, you sold your house and you went all in on crypto. And it's just like, oh my gosh. But what happened? What happened? Well, we had the presidential election, and like I thought, yes, we had this huge run in the price of crypto, particularly Dogecoin. Dogecoin went all the way from like 10 cents all the way up to 48 cents. Huge euphoria here. I mean, this is like everything's going great now. And that's when we started looking at houses to buy. Unfortunately, we had the Fed like being very hawkish about 2025, and there might not be any more rate cuts and all that, and the price declined. End of December going into January, we found a house. We put in an offer. It was accepted. I had already taken a little bit of profit here at 42 cents on Dogecoin, which we talked about, and I made a video back when Doge was down here before the election, and I said, look, this is a strategy for layering out, right? Taking some profits. I mean, someone said, oh, why did you sell, Chris? It's like, because I had a goal. And it's always good to have a plan and good to have a goal. And my goal was we were going to buy a house for cash, no mortgage. That was our plan. After Doge went on this big run, which I was more heavily into Doge, but all the other cryptos were going up too. It was like time to start taking profits. I wish I would have taken more, obviously, but as I say on this channel, coulda, woulda, shouldas, you can't talk about those, no regrets. You make the best decision you can at the time. There was a retrace at the end of the year. In January, prices started going back up in anticipation of the Trump presidency starting. Think that was all going to be pro-crypto. But then he got into this whole tariff talk, and we had the Trump token kind of suck some liquidity out of the market and all that. Prices started going back down, but we had an accepted offer on a house. And so I sold. I sold most of my crypto. So most of this portfolio was all sold. I kept the Bitcoin. I kept a large part of the Dogecoin, but I sold the rest of it, sold just about everything else on this list in order to buy the house. And that's what I did. So the story is, I mean, it only took 2.5 years, or just a little over 2 years. So I wasn't one of those that had bought crypto, 10 years ago or something. This was really just a 2+ year thing. And I have no mortgage. We've got a nice house. Very happy here. I still have Dogecoin. I still have Bitcoin. Still have a few others. We talk about those during the live streams. I still make videos about what's going on in the crypto market. We had this whole tariff thing, all the fears of the tariffs. We talk about this. People wondering why, Dogecoin isn't performing as well as Bitcoin. We cover all of that. But the big news was I had a plan. I executed the plan. Some people are upset about that I sold, and others get it. It's like, look, this guy had a plan. He followed through. It worked. Was there a big risk there? Sure there was. Huge risk. But it was one that I studied. I was looking at these cycles. I don't know whether this next cycle is going to play out or not. Exactly. Are we going to have a huge bear market again? We don't know right now. But right now, I would guess 2026 is probably going to be a bear market. May not be as drastic as we had in 2018 and 2022. We'll see how that plays out. So come join in for the ride. Subscribe. Have your notifications on so you know when the live streams happen. Join in on the videos as well. I'd like to know what you think. Leave a comment below. What do you think about this story? It's pretty crazy, right? I went all in. I sold my house. Sold my house. But it was all with this plan that played out pretty much as I thought. Now, yeah, I could have just done just Dogecoin and Bitcoin. Why did I buy all these other alts? Well, I was making these videos and looking at the whole market and supporting other cryptos and blockchains and AI and these other narratives. I'm probably not going to do that again going forward. Really going to concentrate Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and maybe some ETH. I still have a little bit of ETH left. But we'll see going forward. But right now, it did play out for me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.